Hello, my name is Chris Kiak, and I'm the Vice President of ConXCAD with ConXtech. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate using the Publish to ConX Project View tool that works on top of Tekla Structures. The purpose of this tool is to help automate the creation of a ConX project that will go inside of the ConX Project View application. Alright, to get started, basically you can see that I've downloaded the contents of the Publish to ConX Project View folder from the ConXtech box website. Included in that download is going to be the help file here, which gives a step-by-step instructions and process guide of how to use the tool and publish a model. And then also you'll see here that there are these three folders which are basically representative of the Tekla Structures version that you have installed on your machine. So I'm going to be working in version 17, so I'll open up that folder. Now before you launch the Publish to ConX Project View executable, you want to make sure that you have Tekla Structures currently open, and you also want to make sure that you have the model that you're going to publish also currently open. Alright, so we're going to come back to this in a moment. The very first thing we're going to do is we're going to actually publish the Webviewer model. So I'm going to go to File, Publish as Web Page menu within Tekla Structures. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to export the solid model, and I'm going to export the entire model. We don't really need to have the open in browser option set here. We're just going to be creating the model file itself, and we're going to create it in the model folder in the public web folder. We're going to leave the default name of model.zsol there, so we're going to leave all that alone. Now, one thing is that the Webviewer models they don't typically include the grid information, but in the ConX Project View application we've made a little bit of a workaround for that. So let's actually go back to Windows Explorer, and we're going to launch that. Okay, and let's just minimize here Windows Explorer. Alright, and when I start, you'll see that I've got the project name, project directory, which is basically where is the output folder after you publish the model, where are your ConX Project View projects stored, and this is the name of the project that will appear in ConX Project View. And then this is the models folder. This is the public web folder where your Webviewer models are being exported to. Alright, now what I wanted to show is that we want to actually create grids here in the model. So if I say create grid, what that does is it creates tiny beams that are named with the grid labels, and they're created there at the base. Okay, so we can have those then created. And what I'm going to then do is I'm going to just go ahead and minimize this again now that the grids have been made. And next I'm going to go ahead and say publish. And so that's going to then export the entire model, and it'll also include those little grids that we've just created. Alright, so the next step is I'm going to publish the XML Webviewer model. So I'm going to switch it to XML. You'll notice the name changes here. I'm then going to set the tooltip option to use this template here, which will include some assembly and part information. And the XML format essentially does not allow you to export bolts, and but it does allow you to export like tooltip information. So one thing that we've done here is if we go back to the Publish to ConX Project View option, what we can do is we can say create bolts. And what that does is it scans through all the bolt groups in the model, and then it puts a beam object on top of those bolts, and then puts the full bolt description, including the grade, the length, whether it's site or workshop or field or shop bolt, and it inputs all that information on that kind of round rod or beam part, and then that way you can export the XML Webviewer with that information. Alright, so once bolts created is here on the status, then I know that I've got those parts there in the model, and then I'm just going to go ahead and minimize here, and now I've got everything that I need, and I'm going to go ahead and say publish. Alright, so I'm going to just go ahead and do that. Alright, and so once that's published, now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to publish the actual ConX Project View file folder. Alright, so let's close the Publish as Web Page down. We'll bring back our Publish to ConX Project View dialog box. We now have those two files created in the public web folder. We have the bolts here and our temporary grids and everything down here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to capture the thumbnail image or the preview image for the project. Best thing to do here is let's zoom out a little bit more so that way this dialog box is in the way. And if you're on Windows 7 and newer, you can use the snipping tool. So when you click that, the snipping tool will be opened, and then you can just kind of window around your model. And then what you want to do is you want to press this copy button, which copies that to the clipboard, and then you can just go ahead and say get preview, and then it's going to store that preview image here for the ConX Project View folder. So I'll just close down the snipping tool once I'm done. Now we have the preview, we have the models all generated. The next thing is we're going to go ahead and just publish and create this. So we'll say publish, and then there's going to be a running counter at the lower left hand corner in the status bar of Tekla Structures, which will kind of tell you the progress that it's working on for exporting. And then once that's done, it will change the status label here. Alright, now that publish is complete, we're pretty much done with creating the ConX Project View folder, and we're going to close this down, and now we're going to go into the ConX Project View application. Okay, so now I'm over here in the ConX Project View application, and now I see this publish sample project that I just created. So I'm going to just go ahead and click on that and open it up. You'll see that all of the default folders were all created here, and I have the ability to add drawing files, reports, etc. to those. Here's the default solid model that's loaded up here. You can see all of the bolts and the holes, here for the orientation holes, as well as all the RBS cuts. So pretty much everything is there on the project, and if I wanted to switch over to the XML, I can. So we'll just do that. And when I do that, we'll see most of the same data, except the bolts are going to look a little bit different. Notice also the tooltip data is kicking in here, right? So if I zoom in here, now you'll see the bolts, and the reason why the bolts look a little bit funky here on the node is that the publish tool basically uses the cut length property on the bolts in order to kind of figure out what length to export here. So that's why they're a little bit long. But basically, when I hover over each one of those parts, you'll see that that's the true length that it's meant for. It's a 1-inch diameter A574 ConX node bolt by 5 inches long. And then if I go over here to one of the gravity connections, you'll see that this is a 3/4 inch A325 1 3/4 inch long. So that way you can now see in the XML, tooltip data or the actual data. And if I choose my select parts and model option and I click on one of those, you'll see the bolt information here, and then there's the length, and it tells you whether it's site or workshop. And just like when I click on one of the beams, the same data appears, but just for the part properties. And one thing too is that I'm going to cover is that I actually made some custom properties upon the export. And I'm going to go back to the model and explain that here at the end of the video. But you can see that those two additional properties came here. All the properties above that were hard-coded default properties that get exported, but these were customized properties that we set up upon export. Alright, so there's the bolts, and then if I go down to the bottom here, we can click on one of the grids, and it shows us that that's grid A, and it's 60 feet long. And then if I hover over that, the tooltip will appear. So there's grid A. Okay. So the next steps are to go ahead and link some shop drawings in here that I've created for that project, and then just show you how that automatic link has already taken place once we put the PDF files in the ConX Project View folder. Alright, so let's go to the 03 assembly folder, right click and say attach files. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to browse to my C Tekla Structures model folder here, and I have this publish to ConX Project View folder, and I have a submittals folder here which has all my shop drawings in it. So I'm just going to select all those and then hit open. And then basically now all of those assembly drawings have then been associated to this ConX Project View folder. Now again, I'm in the XML version of the model, and if I choose the select option here, and you'll see that this is, for instance, BMM1 with the tooltip, and when I highlight that, the properties show up. But here, if I say View Drawing, that shop drawing is now automatically open. So again, let's pick on one of the gravity beams now. So I pick on that gravity beam and say View Drawing, and now the gravity beam has been loaded. right? So we can definitely tell that's a gravity beam based on the 2 bolts at the end there. Okay, so let's go back to the model view. If I again do this one, say view drawing, now you can see that that's a moment drawing. Okay, and then let's even do a column. So I'll say there and view drawing, right? And then we basically have everything that we see there. Now what's really neat is if I click on one of these, one of the actual drawings in the drawing list, it shows me all of those particular piece marks all throughout the model. So it's interactively linked. And so that publishing tool that you saw at the beginning of the video, it's basically writing the data into the ConX Project View folder that creates this link between the shop drawings and the model. Alright, so I just want to show you guys really briefly around the ConX Project View folder itself. So if I just click on any one of these folders, right click and say open, that opens up that particular folder in Windows Explorer. So you can see I'm in this ConX Projects, publish sample is the name of the ConX Project View project folder. It's in a subfolder called drawings, and then all of these folders that we see pretty much here in the document list is underneath this subfolder of drawings. So let's go up one level. So there's all the PDFs that we copied and linked into the project. If I go to drawings, you'll see these folders here, which just basically represent the folders that you're seeing there, right? And if we go up one more level, now we're in the master level of the ConX project folder here. And what I can see is that there is the text file. When I open up that text file, you'll see that this is basically just an XML file, which the publish to ConX Project View from Tekla Structures tool automatically generated this XML file, which includes all of the part information and the links with the drawings. Alright, and then there's the preview image here, which is a bitmap. Then there's the solid model file and the XML Webviewer model file. And then of course there's the drawings, which are all of the linked documents to this particular project. And it's really that simple and that basic. Alright, so the last thing we're going to cover is let's go back to Tekla Structures, and I just want to briefly cover the custom properties file that defines extra or additional user-defined attributes or report properties that you can include in the export. Alright, so I'm here inside of the Tekla Structures model folder, and I created this text file called the custom publish properties.txt file. So if I open that up here with Notepad, you can see here that in the sample file that I have some information telling you pretty much how to format this file. And any line in here that begins with these 2 slashes, they basically will be avoided by the program. But it's pretty much a pipe delimited file here, and so the first value that you see here, this is basically the display name. It's what is the name of the variable when you see it in ConX Project View. The second value is pretty much going to be either the user-defined attribute name, which is defined in the objects.imp file, or it's going to be the template editor report property name. Then the next value is essentially saying whether this is a string, double, a length value, or a weight value, and that's pretty important to tell the definition file, so when it's exporting the data or publishing it from Tekla Structures, I know what kind of format that it needs to be. The publish to ConX Project View will automatically read whether you're in the imperial or the metric environment, so it'll automatically switch that based on the type of data variable that you set here. So if you set length and you're in imperial, it'll export in feet and inches, and weight will export in pounds if you set weight. Alright, the last thing here is to just say whether this is user defined. If it is a user defined attribute versus a template editor report property, just type the word true here. If it's not and it's a report property, type the word false. Alright, and it's pretty much that simple. So you can just add any number of lines that you want there, and then that data will be exported to ConX Project View in addition to the hard-coded defaults. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the publish to ConX Project View application and tutorial. Please feel free to send any of your support questions or issues to ConXCAD support@conxtech.com, and we appreciate your attention. Thanks.